on the same page? Awesome, so much red, so much color. Beautiful. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about comparing and contrasting. Raise your hand if you've ever compared and contrasted something before. You ever used compare and contrast? Adam has. Who else? Owen has. Jameson has. You're using notebook paper? That's good. Yeah, we just need some notebook paper. Yeah, Mia? Yes. Okay, everybody. So today we're talking about compare and contrast. Let's wait for Mia real quick. All good? Gotta make sure those pencils are sharpened. So compare and contrast. To compare something is to look for similarities among two or more elements. Similarities to compare. So we're going to compare and we're just going to compare the basketball and the soccer ball. So I want you to think right now, how can we compare the basketball and the soccer ball? Remember, compare means similarities. So I want you to throw in the chat some similarities you can think of for a soccer ball and a basketball. What are some similarities? Go ahead and throw them in the chat. I see round, used for sports. They are balls for sports. They are both used for a game. They are round, both used for sports. Ball in the name, that's true. They both are same size normally. Is that true? Are basketballs and soccer balls around the same size? Yeah, they're around the same size, right? Both round, both used for sports. Awesome. Yeah, so you have successfully compared the basketball and the soccer ball. Here are some things that I came up with. Let's see if we have anything the same. I put the basketball and soccer ball are spherical, so they're round. A lot of people said that they were round. Both objects are used in sports. I saw that quite a few times. And the balls both have patterns on them. Did anybody think about that too? Yeah. Okay. So to contrast, we talked about compare. We want compare and contrast. To contrast something is to look for differences among two or more elements. So to contrast something is to look for differences. Let's try it again. Contrast the basketball and the soccer ball. I don't want you to throw anything in the chat. I want you to think about it. And we're going to take some volunteers. So how can we contrast the basketball and the soccer ball? It was almost too easy to find their similarities. What are their differences? See, Genevieve?
One's used for soccer and one's used for basketball.
One's used for soccer, one's used for basketball. I saw Adam.
A soccer ball has a hexagon shape pattern, while a basketball is almost completely orange with just black lines.
So we have the hexagon type pattern on the soccer ball, and we have the line pattern on the basketball. Let's see, do I have some volunteers online for some contrasting? Let's see. I'm going to ask Sarah. Sarah, what are some differences among the soccer ball and the basketball?
A soccer ball is black and white, and a basketball is orange and black.
Yeah, that's definitely a difference between the two. I'm going to ask one more online. Jameson.
Soccer balls usually are stuffed, but basketballs are pumped.
Yeah, so their composition is different. Actually, when I was making this slideshow, I was trying to find out what these were made out of, and I found out that basketballs when they're used Major League Basketball, they use leather. They're made out of leather. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. So what did I come up with? Did you say, so for basketball, I put you use your hands when you're playing with a basketball, and for soccer, you use your feet when you're playing with a soccer ball. And if you notice, when I'm contrasting and comparing, I do it by categories. So the first one I thought, what do we use to use these balls? So basketball, hands, soccer ball, feet. The next I thought about the appearance. So I was contrasting the appearance. I said the basketball is orange with black lines, and the soccer ball has black and white pentagons on it. So just like what Adam said. And then for the third contrasting category, I decided to think about, what's the point of these balls? What do we do with them? So for basketball, you throw it into a hoop, and a soccer ball, you kick it into a goal. The soccer ball is kicked into a goal. A double bubble map. Can I get a raise of hands of who has used a double bubble map before? Oh, perfect. I've got some double bubble experts. That's a lot of hands. So a double bubble map is used to organize thoughts when comparing and contrasting two objects or individuals. So what I want you to do is on your writing notebook, we're going to draw a double bubble map, just like you see on here. And I'm going to draw it with you. I'm going to stop presenting this for a moment. And I'm going to present my notebook. So I just decided to turn my notebook to the side so I would have full view of all my paper, not have to squish it this way. I want the whole thing. And at the top I'm going to write double bubble map. Double bubble map. And I would like you all to do the same. So we're just doing a blank double bubble map right now, just to get in the practice of it. And I'm using 3 colors for my double bubble. I'm doing purple, blue, and red. Blue and red make purple. So this helps me visualize it better. You might use, what are some other colors you could do? You could do green in the middle and blue and yellow on the outside. You could do it however you would like. If you don't have colors that make other colors, that's okay too. So what you do in a double bubble map is you have one big circle over here and one big circle over here. These 2 symbols represent what you're comparing and contrasting. These are the 2 objects or individuals that you're comparing and contrasting. So in my blue circle, I'm just going to put A, just so it's easier to identify. And in my red circle, I'm going to be putting B. Show me a thumbs up that everyone's following along so far. Awesome work. Okay. Let me ask you, what goes in the middle right here? There's going to be some bubbles. We'll put 1, 2, 3. What are these bubbles? Richie, what do we use for these bubbles? Similarities. So these are the things that we're comparing. So underneath these 3 bubbles, I'm going to put compare. And I'm going to put in parentheses, similarities. Similarities. And they're just floating around right here. But really, they're similarities that link A to B. So I'm going to use my marker and I'm going to connect them. So now they're not all alone. But this isn't a complete double bubble map, because for double bubble maps we want to compare and contrast. Right now we're just comparing the two objects. We're just comparing A and B. But there's so much more to A and B. There's ways that they're different. So we're going to put some bubbles on the outside. So for A, since I've already used blue, I'm going to continue to use blue and put 3 circles on the left. Does it have to be 3 circles? No. It could be 50 circles. It could be 2 circles. But I'm putting 3, just to keep it consistent. And I'm going to connect that to A. Now let me ask a question. What could I label these 3 circles? Vonnie, what could I label these 3 circles? Do you have an idea? How about I come back to you? Genevieve, what are you thinking?
You could label them contrast, and I sharpen my pencil.
Yes, you can sharpen your pencil. So definitely these are going to contrast with the items over on this side. But really what these are, one second. What these are characteristics of A. These have nothing to do with B, they only have to do with A. So below those circles, I'm going to put characteristics of A. And if you're sensing a pattern, you will know that on the right side for B, we're going to be doing the same thing. Only we're not going to write characteristics of A, we're going to be writing characteristics of B. Because the information that we put on this side of the double bubble map only has to do with B. So I'm going to label underneath characteristics of B. You guys are doing an awesome job. If I could have everybody throw their double bubble map onto their camera, I'd love to see what you did, what colors you chose. Did you make sure to label? Looks great, Nicholas. Monica, looking beautiful. Nice, Noah, Sarah, Richie, Samantha, Vonnie Pierce, Noah Francis. I want to see some more.
Pierce?
Danica, Faison, Isha, Adam, Annika. Looks great. Nice job, Francis. Okay, perfect. So this is something you can always keep in your writing notebook to refer back to. So one of the reasons why double bubble maps are really helpful is because they allow you to really think about each individual item or individual person and think about them by themselves and how they relate to each other. So I'm going to go back to the presentation, but keep your notebook out. We're going to continue to use the notebook. Double bubble map. A double bubble map is used to organize thoughts when comparing and contrasting two objects or individuals. So this is the double bubble map filled in. So I put a couple more extra bubbles on the left and the right for individual characteristics of A and B. But you'll see it's about the same as what we did. We have the similarities in the middle and the individual characteristics. And if you remember when we were comparing the basketball from the soccer ball, we want to always match up the characteristics that we're contrasting. And I'll give you an example of this as we carry on. So let's test your skills. Sure, we can draw a double bubble map, but can we implement it? So I want you to turn the page in your notebook, fresh, clean, new page. And we're going to be doing another double bubble map. Another one. But I want it to look like this. So if you could draw that right now on your paper, now that you are experts.
Can we do it in the same color?
You could do it in the same colors, you could do it in new colors. Totally up to you. This is your map to process what we're about to do next. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do this. Or maybe I'll give you a minute and a half. And I don't want you to put anything in these bubbles. I want them completely empty. Nice work, everyone. We're going to be double bubble experts by the end of this. Finish those up. I'm going to walk around the class just to see where my in-class students are at. Looks great. Nice. Nice work, everyone. Can I get a hands on your head if you finished your double double? Awesome job. If you need a couple more seconds to finish it up, take that time for yourself. So we're testing our skills. We got this. We know. We've done this before. We know how to do this. So we're going to be comparing Sasha and Anil. I don't know if it's hard for you to read that at home, but if it is, I'm going to read it out loud for you. But the text is on here. So we're talking about Sasha and Anil. So we already know that information. Those are the two that we are comparing and contrasting. So take this time right now to write Sasha and Anil in the two different bubbles that we're comparing and contrasting, those two big bubbles. So Sasha and Anil. We don't know anything about these two people. We don't even know if they're people yet. We just know two names. Yeah, we don't even know them yet. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read aloud the two passages about these characters. If you have a pencil, I think it would be a great idea to take a couple notes underneath these bubbles. Just so you can remember different aspects about these two individuals, animals, we don't know. We're going to have to find out. Okay. So let's listen about Sasha. Sasha is a 10-year-old girl in 5th grade at Crescent Elementary. Sasha has brown eyes. Sasha has a lot of friends at school. She is always very talkative, and sometimes it gets her in trouble in class. But she is a smart student and a kind classmate, so she is never in trouble for long. Today in class, Sasha's teacher, Miss Kruger, gave a math test. Sasha felt confident. Math is her favorite subject. After school, Sasha always goes to her parents' restaurant. She tries to be helpful since her parents are very busy. Usually, she sweeps the floors and fills ketchup containers. When it's time for dinner, Sasha gets to pick something from the menu. Her favorite thing to eat at the restaurant is pozole, which is a type of stew. So that's some information about Sasha. Let's hear some information about Anil. Anil is a 5th grader at Crescent Elementary. He'll be turning 11 next month. Anil has hazel eyes. Anil is very quiet in class, but he enjoys talking with his best friend Grant during recess. Some people think Anil is unfriendly, but Grant knows that he is just shy. Today, Anil took a math test in class. He felt very nervous. Even though he is a smart kid, he doesn't like math very much. He prefers to read and write. In fact, Anil hopes to be an author one day so he can write books of his own. After school, Anil has piano lessons. He is a very talented musician. Then he goes home to babysit his little brother and sister. His dad works at night, so Anil has to be helpful around the house. When his mom gets home, he helps make dinner. Tonight they're having kebab, which is made from meat, grains, and spices. So we just found out a lot of information about Sasha and Anil. So we do know, we've confirmed that they are people. So let's start to think about ways we can compare these two characters, Sasha and Anil. So let's think. So how can we compare these two? Nicholas already has an idea about how they are similar. They're both in 5th grade. Did anybody else catch that? They're both in 5th grade. So let's make sure to write that in the center, because that's where our similarities are, right? So in the top bubble, I'm going to write both students are in 5th grade. Both students are in 5th grade. I'm going to use the sticks. Uzman, can you tell me something that you can find similar between Sasha and Anil? How did you compare them? Bless you.
They are both smart.
They're both smart, yeah. In both passages, it said that both students are smart. So I'm going to put in the center, Sasha and Anil are smart. So we have one more bubble to fill for comparing. And let me see, do I have an online? Oh, Layla, your hand shot up. Layla, what is the similarity between the two students?
They're both 10 years old and they go to Crescent Elementary.
They're both 10 years old and they go to Crescent Elementary. So you could even add an extra bubble if you want, because those are two facts, right? They're both 10 years old and they go to Crescent Elementary. So I'm going to write that they are both 10 years old. They are both 10 years old. Now, are these the only similarities between the two? No, there's more. I see Jameson has one more. Jameson, why don't you share for us? If anyone wants to add an extra bubble, you can share with what Jameson has to say.
Both of them help out with their parents at night.
That's right. Both of them help out with their parents at night. That's another similarity the two characters have. So let's see what I came up with. 5th graders at Crescent Elementary, intelligent students, and hardworking parents. So when we really think critically about these two characters, we can think about how they are related to each other. Think about how they're similar to each other when we compare. And I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing some empty bubbles. I'm seeing some empty bubbles. Who should we focus on? Sasha and Anil. But actually, we don't focus on them individually. We think about them together because we're contrasting. And if you remember earlier, we think about them when we're contrasting in categories. So when we say something about Sasha that's individual to her, there should be something for Anil that's individual to him in the same category. So does anyone have any do I have any volunteers for Adam? What do you want to say?
Sasha usually likes to talk, but Anil is very shy.
That's awesome. I don't know if everyone could hear Adam, but Adam said Sasha likes to talk and Nil is usually shy. So that would be the same category, right? That would be their social
life.
Yeah, their social life. So Sasha is very talkative. So on Sasha's side, I'm going to write Sasha is very chatty. And on Anil's side, I'm going to put Anil is shy. He's more quiet. And I just want to point out, Adam did a great job at picking two characteristics of each character in the same category. Now, who can think of another one? Let's see. Jai, can you help us out with another category in characteristics to contrast?
Anil is very quiet.
Anil is very quiet. So we talked about that. Anil is shy and Sasha is chatty. Isha, do you have an idea?
Sasha likes math and
Yeah, definitely. So Isha just said Sasha likes math, Anil likes writing. Anil wants to be an author, so he really likes reading and writing and all that kind of stuff. So we can put interest. School interest would be the category for this one. And we said Sasha likes math. She was feeling confident after her math test. And in the bubble for Anil, we're putting Anil likes to write. He likes to read and write. So now we have a bubble left for Sasha and a bubble left for Anil. Can I get a volunteer for what we could write to contrast these two? Danica, you've been waiting so patiently. What do you have to say? I couldn't quite hear that.
I think she basically said one's a girl and one's a boy.
They're different because the pronouns used to describe Anil is a he, and a pronoun used to describe Sasha is a she.
Oh, I like that. So that's another thing that they have that you could contrast. They use different pronouns. So Sasha uses she, her pronouns, so we could put that. Sasha uses she, her pronouns. While Anil uses he, him pronouns. Thank you, Danica, for that. That's something I didn't even consider when I was reading these. And remember, we only have 3 bubbles, but are there more things that we could contrast about these two characters? Show me a thumbs up if you can think of at least one more thing to contrast these two characters. Maddie, what's that one more thing that you can think about?
I know that Sasha works at a restaurant with her parents, but Anil works at home babysitting his mom and sister.
That's awesome. I like how you picked that one because that's something that Jameson said that they have in common. Jameson said that they have in common that they both help their parents, but the way they help their parents is different. So that is another way that you can contrast the two characters. So let me see. Let's see what I came up with. Oh, mine are very similar to yours. I put that Sasha is very social, while Anil is shy. Sasha is confident in math, and Anil really enjoys reading and writing. I put that Sasha has brown eyes, and Anil has hazel eyes. So I compared their appearance as well. There's so many things I contrasted their appearance. There's so many things to compare and contrast, and the more you do this, the more you notice, wow, there's so many different characteristics I can single out about these objects or people. So if you could show your double bubbles to the camera, I'd love to see them. Nice work, Maddie, Noah, Faison, Annika, Adam, Genevieve, Jameson, Bonnie, Usman. Beautiful. Trevor, can you show me yours? Trevor Coble, Trevor Perry? Both Trevors? I'd love to see your bubble map. Oh, looks great, Trevor Perry. Trevor Coble, can I see your bubble map?
Hold it up there, you guys, just hold it.
Awesome, you're doing a fabulous job. And you know what? At the top of your double bubble, let's label that. Let's put Sasha and Anil double bubble map. Always a good idea to label things. Awesome work, everyone. So some closing thoughts about the comparing and contrasting. Can you put, or actually, I'll ask everybody. Who feels confident enough to explain to me exactly what comparing and contrasting means? What does it mean to compare and contrast? Mia, what does it mean?
Comparing and contrasting means finding everything that's different about two things and everything that's the exact same or very similar things.
That's awesome. So Mia said comparing and contrasting means finding similarities and differences between two items or individuals. And that's exactly right. Comparing is similarities, contrasting is differences. So similarities and differences. And now I would like you to go into the Google Meets, and in the chat, I would like you to compare and contrast a crayon with a colored pencil. A crayon with a colored pencil. I want at least one sentence comparing the two, and one sentence contrasting the two. Complete sentences in this Google Meets chat. And let's see what you can come up with. Compare and contrast a colored pencil and a crayon. Noah says, a crayon uses wax, a colored pencil uses lead. So is that an example of comparing or contrasting? One uses wax and one uses lead. Differences. So that's contrasting. They are used to color, so Benjamin found a way to compare them. Similarities. Faison said, crayons are thick and short, and colored pencils are skinny and long. Ted, do you think it's easier to compare or contrast the colored pencil and the crayon? What do you think, Ted? Ted, are you there? Okay, I'm going to throw it over to Francis. Francis, can you hear me? So what do you think is harder? Or what do you think is easier, actually? Do you think it's easier to compare the colored pencil and the crayon, or is it easier to contrast them? easier to compare them? Yeah, because they're kind of similar items, right, already. You probably use them interchangeably at times. That's awesome. Some great answers in the chat. Any questions about comparing and contrasting or how to use double bubble maps? I'm looking at the camera. Anybody have a question? Okay, so we're going to apply this with Sign of the Beaver. So I want you to go on Google Classroom and you'll find a Sign of the Beaver double bubble map. So I would like you to pull that up on your computer. Sign of the Beaver double bubble map. I'll give you about a minute and a half to do this. Yes. It is not in your digital notebook. It is a completely separate document that you can find on Google Classroom. Yes, Isha? Huh? Oh, yes. And when you go on there, you make a copy, right?
Yes, you will make a copy.
So you will make a copy once you access them
Unless I force made a copy, did I force make
and
a
save it
copy?
onto your drive.
And your name is your first thing on the copy.
And the first thing you need to do when you make that copy is write your name and your number. You know that, right? So go ahead and do that right now.
Miss Kruger,
Yes.
I couldn't really hear you properly, so what are we supposed to spell and make a copy?
So you're going to go onto Google Classroom. Thanks for asking. Oh, you're going to go onto Google Classroom. You're going to access the Sign of the Beaver double bubble map. You're going to open that document and you're going to make a copy and save it to your drive. On your copy, your individual copy, you're going to write your name on it. Yeah, Genevieve?
Actually, when you go under your copy, you press make a copy and then it's just entire presentation. There's no option to save it to your drive. Once you press entire presentation, it will just save it.
Okay, perfect.
And put your name, is your name. Instead of copy on it, you're gonna put your name. Richie Flynn.
So you're going to put your name on the title of the document once you make your copy. And you're also going to put your name on the document. On the top right corner, you'll see there's a little spot that says name and number. So that's where you will put your name and your number. Can't find it? Who's saying that?
Dylan.
Dylan? Dylan, did you go onto Google Classroom?
Yes.
Did you go under classwork?
Yeah.
Under Sign of the Beaver novel study, I believe it's the third item.
Oh, okay, found it.
You see it?
Thank you.
Awesome. No problem.
Did you have to, did you write your name on first name?
Is Mom, are you having a problem?
When I try to search up a picture of Matt, I can't find it.
Oh, okay.
It can just be a picture.
Okay, so you're jumping ahead a little bit. You just need to make your copy right now. And I'm going to ask everybody to stand up. We've been sitting for much too long this morning. Let us stand up. Stand up. Everybody at home, please stand up. Let's give our brain a little bit of a break. Give our body a little bit of a stretch. So I'm going to ask you to I'm going to ask you to start with your hands low. You can see, start with your hands low. And you're going to bring them up. Bring them up. And then bring them back down. You're making a huge circle around you. Bring them back up. Bring them down. And now I would like to see 10 jumping jacks. Nice work, students at home. Nice. And now twist your body around. Make sure you really get a good stretch in. These spend a lot of time sitting, don't we? Okay, Faria, can I get a little bit of a stretch? A little bit of a stretch, roll your shoulders back, sit up high, chin up. Awesome. So now we're going to apply what we learned about double bubble maps and about comparing and contrasting to Matt and a teen. So let's think. Matt and a teen. We've gotten to know Matt quite a bit. We've just met a teen, but I feel like we know a lot about him already. Can I get a thumbs up? Everybody's made their copy and they've put their name on it. Make sure you put your name on it. Use these a couple of seconds right now.
Both places, make sure it's in both places.
Okay. So this is what we're going to work on right now. I'm going to start it with you. We're going to start working on it as a class, and then you're going to have some time to work on it individually. We're going to start together. And first you probably noticed, as Usman said, it says right here, insert a picture of Matt and insert a picture of a teen. So what you can do, I actually Google image search sign of the beaver and I typed in Matt and a teen and I found images of them there, but you already know it's Matt and a teen, so we don't need to do that together. You all know how to Google image search, and let's say you can't find a picture that's specifically of Matt and a teen. We do know certain things about the way they look. It's been described in the text. So you can always look back and see how they're described to look. Okay? And you can draw a picture. Or you can find a picture of someone who you think, oh yeah, that looks like Matt. Or, oh yeah, that looks like a teen.
Or the book cover on top of it.
So let's compare together. So I'm going to ask Urkam. Urkam, can you compare Matt and a teen for me?
Matt knows how to read, but a teen doesn't. And a teen knows how to hunt, and Matt doesn't.
So you just told me a lot of great information about Matt and a teen. But remember I asked to compare. So Urkam, what does it mean to compare?
To find their similarities.
To find their similarities, yeah. So can you tell me a similarity between Matt and a teen? Everything you said was accurate and amazing. However, I want to focus on comparing and the similarities right now. Can
They
you?
can both speak.
They can both speak. That's a good one. But let's go a little higher level. We've gotten to know these characters a little bit more. How about Samantha? Samantha, can you tell me a little bit of a higher level answer for comparing Matt and a teen?
Both Matt and me don't have their father by their side.
Don't have their father by their side. That's a really good one. So let's put that in there. Let's see, can I edit this one? Okay, so we're going to put in the center where we compare, where we put the similarities. I'll put Matt and a teen do not have their fathers by their side. And you can make these bubbles a little bit bigger. I'm actually going to show you a little trick right now. So if you want to stop typing just for a moment and look at the screen. So what you'll notice is this piece of text, if I write a long sentence, it's going to be really hard to read because it's just got a clear background. So what I can do is go up to the top and fill color. Fill color, and I'll put white. And then that way, no matter how big my sentence gets, I can still read it. Still easy to read. It's a little trick. So now we've started off with the comparing, and now I would love to hear contrasting. Urkam already gave us some really good ideas for ways we can contrast the two boys, but I would like to hear an original one. Let's see. Can I get a volunteer? Let's see, Faison, I want to hear what you think on how you contrast Matt and Atine.
We just did this in.
Matt is an American boy, and Atine is a Native American boy.
I like that. So what Faison just said is that Matt is an American boy, while Atine is a Native American boy. So he used their ethnicities to compare. Because remember to contrast. Remember when we're contrasting, we want to keep within one category each time. So for the top bubble, the category is their nationality, their ethnicity. So on the left with Matt, we're going to write Matt is an American boy. And then on the right with Atine, we're going to write Atine is a Native American boy. Oh, and perfect. And you know what? Miss Chucky already was looking out for us. There's a little category box. It's a little bit hard to read on the left, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use that trick, and I'm going to fill it with white so I can see it a little bit better. Category. So the category is, I'm going to put nationality. And I'd like you to do the same. So I'm going to ask you to complete this double bubble map on your own. Think of two more categories that you can use to contrast the two boys, and one more similarity to put in the center. We're going to have some individual time to work on this. And anything you don't finish today, we're going to have us finish up work later this afternoon. But before we start on this activity, I have perhaps a question or two. I'm going to turn it to you guys. What might be the purpose of doing a double bubble map to compare and contrast two characters? So what would be the purpose of doing an activity like this, a double bubble map, to compare and contrast two characters? What do you think, Monica?
I think that it's important because we can understand more about the character traits, about the characters, which helps us have a better understanding about the book.
That's wonderful. That's such a beautiful answer. That's exactly what I was thinking too. You really get to know the two characters better, and you get to understand their relationship better, how they interact with each other, and how, you know, if they have a lot of similarities, that's probably a different relationship to having a lot of differences between them. And it gives us more context to what's happening in the book. So that's great, Monica. You said that perfectly. And now I want to ask, do you find it harder to find similarities between the characters, Matt and Atine? Or do you find it harder to find differences between the characters?
Similarities.
Why don't you throw that in the chat? What is it harder to do for these two characters? Is it harder to compare them, or is it harder to contrast them? Throw that in the chat. What is it more difficult for you to do? Compare, compare. I see a lot of compares. Compare. It's a little bit harder to compare them right now, huh? And we're still getting to know Atine. We don't know too much about him. Who knows? Maybe he is a little bit more similar to Matt. But as far as what we've read in the book so far, yeah, they're pretty different, aren't they? Pretty different characters. And I want to shout Pierce out for saying Charlie, Oscar, Mike, Papa, Alpha, Romeo, Echo.
That's compare in NATO alphabet.
Compare in NATO alphabet.
Yeah.
I love that use of NATO alphabet. It's our not completely secret language, but a little bit. Awesome work. And I think I have one more question for you, and then we're gonna have about 10 minutes to finish up the double bubbles individually. So my last question is, give me a thumbs up if you feel like you understand the characters a little bit more now. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs down if you're still a little bit confused. Awesome, I see a lot of thumbs up. So yeah, this activity helps us look more critically at each character and examine the relationship between them. This allows for better comprehension while reading the novel. Sometimes it's a fun activity to do with things that are either very similar or extremely different. So this is something you could even do just, when you're on a road trip or something like that. I thought of the colored pencil and the crayon because I thought, oh, those are very similar. We got to really stretch our brains to think of their differences. So it's something you could always do just for fun. And whenever you're reading a book, it's really helpful. So during this time, I'm going to give you 10 minutes and I'm going to put the timer on for you to work individually on this double bubble map. And if you finish before then, what else could you work on? Did you finish your Sign of the Beaver workbook pages? Do you have your 60 points for reading counts? Did you finish your colonies assignment for social studies? Do you have a question, Joey?
No.
Okay. So there's plenty of things you could be working on. You could be studying for spelling tests. So many things you could be doing. Checking if you have any missing assignments.